be talking about the difference between a grandiose narcissist and a vulnerable narcissist. And we're understanding that narcissism is about traits, and narcissism taken to the extreme can develop into narcissistic personality disorder. And so the reason why I think it's important for us to establish the differences is so that those of us who are suffering inside of these relationships, so remember, the fact that you're on YouTube, the fact that you Google looking for information like what's wrong with my partner or what's wrong with my relationship is a sign that something's wrong. People who are in healthy relationships aren't Googling what's wrong with my partner, or is my relationship toxic, or am I dating a narcissist? They don't do that. There's no reason to. You're out there, you're out and about, and you're enjoying your life. As someone who believes, in my humble opinion, right, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but based on information, data, and the research that I've done, I believe that I've attracted more than one narcissist in my life, and they're different. And so, you know, if you're someone who is in a similar situation to where I was, and you're Googling it and you're curious about it, you know, you can feel so confused, because a staple of being a victim of narcissistic abuse is this idea that your reality is distorted. You don't trust your reality. And I think that it's worth discussing, because I always found that I felt better when I understood why. When I found a problem and then I understood why that problem was there, and then I found a solution to that problem, suddenly I felt lighter. Like, oh, I'm dealing with a covert narcissist, or, oh, you know, I'm codependent, or I'm a fixer, I'm a rescuer. Oh, you know, that's controlling also. Didn't realize it. That's for another video. Oh, this is grandiose narcissism versus more vulnerable and shy narcissism. You know, and then of course there's malignant narcissism, and even now communal narcissism. But for this video, I want to talk about the difference between grandiose and vulnerable narcissism. So a grandiose narcissist is your garden variety narcissist. They're the people in our lives that are more extroverted, and they want to be praised, and they can be very manipulative. And when their sense of self is challenged, they can become vindictive and rageful even. And you know, they can end up persecuting you. They can go off into a smear campaign and triangulate you and go down this route when you've challenged how they see themselves, right? So a grandiose narcissist is somebody who boasts, you know, I'm the biggest and I'm the best, and puts other people down. And they really believe that they are better than everyone else. So if they're in real estate, they're the best real estate agent. If they're doctors, they're the best surgeons. If they're lawyers, they're the best attorneys, you know. If they're CEOs, you know, they're the smartest, their company's the best, and, you know, no one else can compare to them. So it's that sort of boasting. You know, you can have grandiose narcissism in a PTA room where, you know, one mom thinks that, you know, she's smarter than the next mom, and she's entitled to, you know, dismiss other moms. Or you have soccer coaches, right, on the field who think, you know, their team is better than every other team, and, you know, they're entitled to play dirty on the field, and ha 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 ha. It's not even about the kids, it's about the coach. It's the coach that's having that is this grandiose narcissist. And this is where you can get confused, because I've coached so many people, men and women, and I am one of them that did not realize when I was with a vulnerable narcissist, it blew me out of the water. And so when you're with a grandiose narcissist, you will have your reality messed with. You will be told that you didn't hear that the right way, or, you know, I never said that, right? You'll go through that now, and you'll end up doubting your reality. But it might be easier for you to go, oh my God, this guy, this girl is so full of themselves. Like, listen to her. She puts everybody else down but herself, right? You know, oh my God, we're talking about her again. And oh my God, you know, it's going to be much easier for you to spot. If you're dating someone that's a grandiose narcissist, it might be really easy for you to figure out what happened. But what happens lots of the times is when we leave one relationship like this, we are in danger of then manifesting a narcissistic personality. But in many of the cases, we can just switch. we switch from a grandiose narcissist to a vulnerable narcissist. Or if you were with a vulnerable narcissist, right, then you are in danger of manifesting. If you're with a vulnerable narcissist, you're in danger of manifesting a more grandiose narcissist. And it's very, very confusing. So if you're dealing with a narcissist, generally you're going to feel very confused. You're Googling, you're trying to figure things out. With a vulnerable narcissist, what you're going to find is you can find someone who appears to be very shy, could be also seem to be altruistic. This person could be volunteering at all sorts of shelters, right? Loves to help charities, could be a rabbi, could be a priest, could be a PTA mom. You know, it could be anybody in your community that you are observing who has these amazing qualities. And when you first meet them, you're drawn into them. Usually what you'll hear eventually is, maybe not right away, but you'll hear a sob story. A vulnerable narcissist is going to try to play off your empathy and play off your sympathy, right? So you'll hear it in their language. It'll sound something like, you know, oh, I could have been a rocket engineer, but I never really had any breaks. You know, astronauts are out there. They all come from money. That's why they're astronauts. So there's this woe is me, poor me attitude. And those of us with high empathy and who are codependent, for instance, what'll happen is we're looking at their actions and then we're listening to their story and we're like confused, like, okay, and it makes sense. This is a person who has come from, you know, a difficult background, and look what they're doing for the good of the community. But if you listen, what you'll hear is woe is me. Interesting thing about a shy, vulnerable narcissist is that they might know that they need to tell you this story, and it might not even be true. In lots of the cases, the story isn't even true. I had that situation happen to me where I was totally pulled in by this story of how this man that I was dating had been cast out by his family. And in the beginning, you know, I had no reason to doubt him. He was very intelligent. He came off vulnerable. He came off reserved, more introverted than an extroverted narcissist. And his story sounded like it made sense. But over a few months, what began to happen was the mask started to slip. And I began to hear things like, they're jealous of me. And the reason I got into trouble, the man actually got arrested and didn't take any accountability for it. It was because people were out to get him, you know, and he could have gotten so far in his life if, you know, people weren't out to get him, you know. And it took me a while to like process what had happened. And so a vulnerable narcissist will come off reserved. They might be very quiet, you know, they're not going to be grandiose. They're not going to be out there. But in time, what you'll notice is that they are resentful of other people. When they think they've really gotten you good, then you'll notice that they feel entitled. So they might hurt other people to get where they want to be. Like, he didn't present as somebody who was grandiose. He presented as somebody who was timid and humble and, you know, had this amazing story of wanting to help other people. But what I didn't realize at the time was this story was eventually mixed in with woe is me and look how the world has hurt me. The other thing that I noticed with covert narcissists is that their pain will always trump your pain, or their pain will always trump the pain of someone else. You'll see a pattern of them putting down people who are successful. There'll always be a reason, and it won't be because that person legitimately got there and worked their ass off to get there. It'll be because it was daddy's money, or, you know, she slept her way to the top, or whatever. It's very difficult for them to compare themselves in their head to someone who is successful, because their base idea is that the world has done me wrong, and that's why I can't do what this other person has done. It might be that they're just not as talented as the person who has succeeded, or, you know, they can't get out of their own way because they're always making excuses for why they can't go, or their base core belief is, I'm not enough. And their behaviors are such that they get through life through manipulating other people and through lying and by feeling entitled. And so that'll only get them so far. And when they finally exhaust a narcissistic supply, they need a new source of narcissistic supply. So essentially what they're doing is they're just spinning their wheels. And it is very sad. But those of us who are victims of narcissistic abuse, understanding the difference between a grandiose narcissist and someone who feels entitled, somebody who is more extroverted, somebody who is going to have that affair and who's going to justify that affair and who's going to flirt and is going to make you doubt yourself, and pumps their chest, or if it's a male narcissist or if it's a female narcissist and she's throwing her sexuality out there and she's using her sexuality to get what she wants, that might be easier to spot. And if you're dealing with this type of a person, you're going to be confused and you're going to feel run over. And they are so convinced that they're right, it makes a rational person question their own reality. It will make you doubt that you have a right to feel what you feel. That's why you get confused on that end when you're dealing with a grandiose narcissist, because they're so damn convinced that they're right and you're wrong and you're less than them and so is everybody else, and they're entitled and they have every right in the world to do what they want to do if they have the impulse to do it, and damn you if you get in their way. Whereas vulnerable narcissists, if you're codependent, if you have high empathy, you're going to get drawn in by their shyness. It's going to shock you. The term I used to describe one of the covert vulnerable narcissists that I was with was the Boy Scout narcissist, the nice narcissist who had this Moses complex, in my opinion, who loved to remind me how good he was to people and how rotten I was. Like, we would say things like, "That's not what Jesus would do, Lisa." And I would say, I don't remember saying that I was Jesus. I'm trying to have a conversation about boundaries or fairness, He loved to throw the religion at me. And so in his head, because he was tied to the Bible, he was better than me. And that made him better than me. And that allowed him to be highly, highly arrogant and critical of me. And it was very confusing because on the surface, everybody loved this person, right? Myself and my children were the only people that seemed to have a problem with this person, but everybody else loves this person. And so it was so confusing because he wasn't the grandiose narcissist that I was looking for. My dad is more extroverted, and I knew that I didn't want to attract a man that was like loud and out there and arrogant, obviously arrogant. And that's why I was so shocked when I began to realize, like, oh my God, it's the same. These are the same traits, the holier than thou, better than everybody, the entitlement, the arrogance, the inability to have empathy for how other people feel, the lack of accountability, right? It just blew my mind, and ending up feeling so confused by this shy, vulnerable narcissist who, just blamed everybody for why he couldn't get where he wanted to get. And then when challenged, he was able to punish me and punish the kids and found different ways to do it. The smear campaign, the triangulation with the kids, it's what they do, using my children as a pawn. And so I just hope, I want to make sure I hit all. Oh, and passive aggressiveness. When you're dealing with a vulnerable narcissist, one of the ways that they deal with you the most is through passive aggressive behavior. And you end up asking yourself, did he just insult me? Or did she just insult me? I'm not so sure if I was insulted, but I feel like I was just insulted. You don't know. But whereas with the grandiose narcissist, they are insulting you right to your face in lots of the times. Not always. They can also be very passive aggressive. But with a vulnerable narcissist, it's like backhanded compliments. It's like saying, it's crazy. It's crazy making because you feel it. You think, I think they're hurting me, right? But I have nothing to point at. What I used to say to my ex-husband was, you're like boxing a ghost. Like, it's like you're jabbing at me, but you're a ghost, but I can still feel that these wounds are hitting me, but I can't see them. And it wasn't until I was like, oh my God, this is what it is. It's vulnerable narcissism. It's not overt. It's a covert form of entitlement, of abuse. And it kept me stuck for a very long time. And it took me a long time to get my faith back in myself and to trust that I had these wounds, because they weren't wounds that I could see. They were wounds that I could feel. And I really think it's important that those of us who are victims of narcissistic abuse understand the difference between a grandiose and a vulnerable narcissist. If you're dealing with somebody who is a malignant narcissist, you're dealing with somebody who has the ability to hurt you and to hurt other people. And what's really, I think, the thing about malignant narcissism that is very confusing is that they are able to have empathy for you. If they feel like you're a member of their team, they will have empathy for you. But having this team is not about the team, it's about them. It's about getting the team, or getting the family, or getting the office or the company to praise them, right? So it's not about the team. And as long as the people and the members of the team praise this person, then you're good. But a malignant narcissist will stop at almost nothing to hurt somebody that opposes them and or that challenges them. And that's what's so confusing about a malignant narcissist, because you will feel like, oh, this person sees me and this person has my best interest at heart. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about you praising them. It's about you putting them on a pedestal. And as long as you continue to put them on a pedestal, you're good. But woe to you, to the person that goes against that person and challenges their perception of themselves. So I hope that this video has helped clarify some of the differences between a covert and an overt narcissist, or a grandiose narcissist and a more vulnerable or shy narcissist. Namaste, dear ones. Until next time, be careful out there. Bye for now.